Hello, everybody. Welcome to the new moon in Leo, the Lion's Gate. So, the 8th of the 8th is the Lion's Gate, August 8th. And it coincides with our new moon this time. So, it's a really oddly powerful buildup this time to the new moon. From my experience and some other people I'm speaking with, patterns that I see with clients as well, I try to reflect them in these videos so that you don't feel so alone, because you're not alone. If you're really sensitive to things, including forces on the planet greater than us, pardon me, if you're sensitive to astrology transits, to geomagnetic storms, excuse me, curtains blowing around a lot. Geomagnetic storms, Schuman Resonance, you might be familiar with that. If you're sensitive on this level to sort of the bigger picture or the planetary things going on, or a collective energy amongst us all, you might have felt over the last week or 10 days more stress, more anxiety, more frantic. And what I'm seeing is a lot of people are responding to that with a lot of partying, a lot of party vibe. It's been hectically busy where I live with tourists, like too much. To me, it's too much. And that's not to be a judgment thing. That's my feeling of the level of release and let go, and everything's normal, and extroversion and whatever. Just the way the behavior is playing out compared to what's actually going on, which is, unfortunately, that the Delta variant is rising, and they're stepping up the laws around vaccines and vaccine passports. And so at the same time that you have laws moving in, regardless of how you feel about them, that's a force. That's a big force of change that's coming for all of us. And at the same time, you have, the variant rising, and doctors and nurses starting to say they're seeing more cases, they're seeing more uptick. At the same time, you see people responding by like a last hurrah kind of feeling. I just find there's been a lot of anxiety in the air. So, but like I said, it's individual. For some of you, it might feel like excitement. It might feel like, oh God, finally things are back to normal. I feel free again. Some people will feel that. Other people might feel like scared all over again. So, but it has been more intense. Now, the Lion's Gate is a special time alignment where you'll probably see a lot of videos talking about manifesting. Now, the Lion's Gate happens every year. It's just that now it's coinciding with a new moon. So we'll take a look at the chart of this new moon and see what's going on as usual. And is it a particularly good time to be setting those goals? New moons are times of planting seeds and starting new things and setting intentions. And just like any seed, you plant it underground and it's buried in the dark before it grows. You have to nurture it. So it's sort of like, take a look and see, is there any seed in you? Is there anything that you're thinking that you would like to see happen or grow or change in your life? Can you plant that seed deeply in you now? And can you water it and nurture it so it grows? It's not about telling the world and declaring it just yet. It's for yourself to say, I'm going to do this, or I would really like that aspect to come into my life. And you do it quietly and you plant the seed. I did want to read you a little bit about the Schuman Resonance in case you're not familiar. I'm just pulling up that page because I am still learning about this myself. The The reason I bring it up is because I've noticed the last 2 or 3 times that I felt quite a bit of stress in the air. There was also a correspondence with the Schuman resonance. So I'm just going to read a little bit of that from this website, just so that you get an idea and see maybe you're sensitive to it as well. I mean, we're all on planet Earth, so we're all going to feel it on some level, but some people it's more intense, more obvious than others. So this is called interestingengineering.com. What is the Schuman resonance? And it says, does Earth's 7.83 hertz heartbeat influence our behavior? So the Earth's magnetic field has a set of resonant frequencies that scientists theorize could have an effect on human behavior. The Earth has been the focus of a massive amount of scientific studies over the years, of course, from shrinking ozone layers, changes on the planet's magnetic field, plenty to keep researchers busy. One possible surprising area of research is the way in which the Earth acts like a giant electrical circuit. The atmosphere of the Earth is actually a weak conductor. If there was no source of electric charge for the atmosphere, the energy would disappear in about 10 minutes, but it doesn't. The ionosphere is the region of the Earth's atmosphere that stretches from 30 to 620 miles above the Earth's surface and forms a boundary between the Earth's lower atmosphere and the vacuum of space. Okay, let's try to jump to the resonances. So it means there's a great deal of electrical activity between the surface of the Earth and the ionosphere. Some of this is the form of understanding waves of electricity. The standing waves are known as Schumann resonance. So what is the resonant? What are these resonances? Each lightning burst creates an electromagnetic wave that begins a circle around the Earth's cavity between the surface of the Earth and the ionosphere. Some of the waves, if they have just the right wavelength, combine and increase in strength to create a Schumann resonance. So it says the sweet spot for creating this resonance is when the wave is as long or longer than the circumference of the Earth. This is an extremely low frequency wave that's up to 100,000 times lower than the lowest frequency radio waves used to send signals on your AM, FM radio. As this wave flows around the Earth, it hits itself again in such a way that it crests and troughs, and the waves are aligned and act in a resonance with each other for the original signal. All right, so I won't go on with that, but if you want to read that, it's called interestingengineering.com. What is the Schumann resonance? So basically, what people have been saying who monitor this more than me lately is that there's been a blackout. It's the second time, I would say, in the last month that I've been hearing about Schumann resonance blackouts, which means normally like people are monitoring this overall electrical magnetic field in between the Earth and the ionosphere. Now, how does that affect us? Well, electromagnetic fields, you should really study how they affect you if you're sensitive at all, because we're all subject to a lot of EMF right now with our cell phones, with internet waves, even with our hydro. Anything like 5G definitely is increasing this and will continue to increase it even more. And EMF, or electromagnetic frequency, increases inflammation. And inflammation is the source of a lot of health problems. Therefore, the Schumann resonance is measuring these electromagnetic fields around the Earth. So if there's a spike so high that it blacks out, it means the EMF is extremely high, and therefore it could be provoking inflammation reactions in our bodies, including I haven't found these studies, but the person that I was looking at learning this from mentioned there's been studies in Canada and Italy and one other country, forget what now, where they do correlate the Schuman resonance and the human heart. So for some people, over the last couple of weeks or month, even with these blackouts, but certainly the last few days, these spikes you could be seeing more inflammation in your own body, therefore more anxiety, more inflammation and pain. It could be anything that it can come in any form. You might have backaches, you might have digestive problems, you might be feeling panicky, you could be having headaches. It all depends on how you particularly manifest the inflammation. So I wanted to bring that up because I think there's a lot of info floating around right now, always about new moons and, being life-changing event. Every moon is a life-changing event nowadays on certain internet sites, and it's just not true. New moons are a time to think and reflect about what's going on and plant a seed. The tides and the gravitational pull definitely correlate with the moon cycles on the planet. Rivers rise and fall, so do the fluids in our bodies. So to me, this is a truth, and it affects us, but it doesn't mean that every new moon or every full moon is going to somehow magically shift your life overnight. But this time, because we're seeing these spikes and geomagnetic storms, all things that can provoke inflammation, and we're seeing it at the same timing as this Lionsgate activation and with the new moon, I do think this one, there's something going on that's a little more powerful than usual. So let's take a look at the chart. And then I'm going to do the tarot for this new moon, and then I'm going to do readings for each sign. So if you're listening to this and you just want to skip ahead, hopefully you don't, but if you want to skip ahead to your readings, the times of where each reading for each sign starts, it's written in below the description. And if you want to reach me for a personal consult, you can message me at my website, riverrain.com, or here on YouTube comments. So we're going to go into the chart now. I just need a little sip of something. All right, so this chart is cast for Sunday, August 8th, 9:50 a.m. Eastern. So Eastern time zone, and the rising sign in the houses that I talk about is applicable if you're in the Eastern time zone. If you're in the Central or Pacific, or you're in Europe, or you're somewhere else watching this, the houses are going to be different and the rising sign is going to be different. But the overall dynamic and relationship of the planets is the same, and how they, the issues I talk about that are going on are going to be the same for everybody. So if you're in the Eastern time zone, this new moon in Leo is at 0 degrees Libra rising. So for all of you who have Libra rising, this could emphasize or match your chart quite well, because you're Libra rising and the chart is as well, meaning the planets here and the new moon are falling pretty close to what it might in your own chart. Libra rising is always looking to please people and be pleasant and be diplomatic and be fair. People think Libras are balanced. They're not. They're always seeking balance. They're trying to keep their equilibrium, but it doesn't mean they automatically have it. They're always playing with it and looking for it. And so they're always weighing things, trying to make things exactly right. And they're very charming. They're usually very beautiful as well. They like things to be visually pleasing. They're good at decor. They're good at fashion. They're good at being very good with their words. They're diplomats, or they're good mediators. They can be very charming. So this Libra rising on our new moon is sort of a good thing. I think it's like anything conflictual we're about to see in the chart with a Libra rising, everybody's going to try to at least keep things peaceful or diplomatic, regardless. Sometimes we see other rising signs that just wouldn't care. They would let the bull loose in the china shop. But this new moon, we're trying to balance things out with people and still be fair and social. Now, if we just look at what purely a Leo moon is about, we've got the sun at 16 degrees and the moon at 16 degrees Leo. And Mercury is also at 23 degrees Leo. So triple influence on the sign of Leo. So what is a Leo moon like? So Leo suns always somehow grab the spotlight, even if they're not trying. They walk in the room and you're like, you notice. And it doesn't always mean that they're physically beautiful, although a lot of them know how to dress and present themselves. But what you're picking up is more this feeling of confidence and this magnetism, and like some of them just radiate sunlight or a sense of joy, or they radiate their vibe into the room and you can feel it. Now the moon in Leo, the moon isn't, the sun is what shines. The moon is shining at night. And it's a new moon, so it's a dark moon, which means that it's in a sign that wants to shine, but normally a dark moon doesn't shine. So what do you think that does psychologically for a Leo moon? Well, I'll tell you, a Leo moon is a closet show-off. A Leo moon secretly loves things that are romantic and dramatic, but they might not tell you. A Leo moon needs a lot of flattery and affirmation and compliments because it's more insecure. A Leo moon will not be dominated by anybody. This person in their deepest psyche is a lion. They have a hidden fierceness or strength that you don't always see. So where they have a difficult time is a person with a Leo moon would have a difficult time finding, well, where can I stand out? Where do I shine? Is it all right for me to get the attention I need here? Because it's the moon sign. It's about your emotional needs. They need to be seen and they need to express themselves and they need to be, they need the applause sometimes. And it's hard for them to find a way to get that. So what you get is somebody who's looking for the right conditions, or maybe the right relationship, the right timing to sort of show off who they are inside, because it's very rich. They have a lot to say. They're very strong. They're courageous. They've got a lot of talent, but it's probably under wraps. So this is going to make an interesting dynamic, this new moon, because you've got the sun, moon, and Mercury all lining up in Leo. People need to express themselves. And this could also explain why there's sort of a, oh my God, party, let's go out, woo, in the air right now, regardless of whatever else is going on, with Corona or with logic, public safety, I don't know. I mean, this could be why there is just a need to let off steam, go big or go home, express yourself, party, be loud, dance, dress up. You might see that. You might still see more of it over the weekend. People wanting to dress up, go out, people wanting a little bit of luxury, people wanting some fun. A lot of people, like I said, need to express themselves. So you might see, this is still bugging me. There. You might still see heightened sense of drama, with Leo, moon, Mercury, sun, moon, Mercury. Mercury in Leo is very confident, again, expressive, bold, speaks like a boss, or a diva. So let's take a look at what's going on in relation to that moon. And we look across and we see, ooh, Saturn. Okay. Saturn is in Aquarius. It's opposing the sun and the moon. Now, what does Saturn do? Saturn gives parameters. It's building a foundation. It needs to be serious here. Saturn in Aquarius, a little different. What are we building a foundation for? Saturn in Aquarius, well, for a new world, for a new way of living. We don't want the old way. We want a new way. So structure and rules around a new way of living in society. And it's opposite to this moon, sun, Mercury, and Leo. It's about me. I want to do it my way. I'm free. I'll party if I want to. I don't care about your rules. I have a right to do, I have personal rights. I have personal freedoms. I'm an individual. I don't want your rules. So this is an ongoing force we're going to see over the next 2 years or so with Saturn in Aquarius. It began its passage into Aquarius almost to the day that the lockdowns began in North America. In March of 2020, Saturn emerged in Aquarius, and then it said, okay. And it went retrograde for a while, and then it came back direct, and now it's with us until 2023. So as planets go around and they square off or they oppose Saturn in Aquarius, we're going to see either clashes, movement, upheaval, decisions coming down, changes happening, oppositions to change. It'll happen when planets line up in Leo, like now. It'll happen when they line up again in Scorpio in the fall. When they come around in February, it'll emphasize it. When it comes around to next spring again in Taurus, there'll be another push. This is how astrology is very interesting with timing, if you want to think of the big picture. So right now we have this Lion's Gate, the Schuman Resonance blackouts, and we've got a Saturn opposing the sun and the moon in Leo. And it feels to me like there's some karmic struggle going on here. Still waiting to see what is going to come before this sort of heightened tension is released, because it's still sort of building up. But you can use those forces, you can work with that energy in your own planting of your own goals. How? Well, if you feel an intense buildup of energy, some people feel exhausted or overwhelmed and they just want to recoil, shut down, introvert, isolate. Other people just want to sleep. Some people, they ride that wave like a surfer and they're out there doing, busy. Both of those sort of don't really, use the energy to manifest. What you need to do to birth something or manifest something is sort of take this intensity and feel it and sort of consolidate it and get comfortable with it being around and say, I'm putting this, I don't know what this is, this magnetism, this something in the air. Well, it is literally electromagnetism, but this sense of agitation, of change, of awkwardness, of heightened emotion. If you can try to just let yourself feel that and decide what you want next, there's something in that about channeling that and accepting that energy, but saying, hey, I want it to go towards something that I'm consciously going to activate, that I want, instead of, woohoo, it's all over the place, or, oh no, So it's tough sometimes, the manifestation process. People don't talk about that enough. They make it sound like, oh, you just think of this and say it and it'll just happen for you. But no, you have to become a master of yourself and your own energy for manifestation to work. because you have to know how to hold something. Like it's as if you had a little fire in your hand. You have to know how to hold that fire without getting burned so you can use the fire. Just saying. So I feel this is, for all those reasons I mentioned, quite a good time to be planting new goals in mind, new seeds. And again, you don't have to say it to anyone. You can just keep it underground for yourself for now and let it build. But set an intention for around this new moon. Now, what else do we have going on is it opposes Uranus. The sun, moon, and Mercury in Leo all oppose Uranus in Taurus. And Saturn, that we just mentioned, is squaring. They're all squaring Taurus. So we've got the makings of a rumbling, an uprising, a breakthrough. So you can definitely be using this new moon for breakthroughs. Otherwise, what happens when Saturn opposes Uranus? You get sort of, protests met with police. You get authority and the rebel. And then you mix, the Leo planets in there, and you get somebody who's insisting on their freedom, and they will not be dominated by either the rebel or the authorities. So you have the makings because it's in fixed signs for some sort of chaos, some sort of pushback. I mean, honest to God, like there's so much going on in the planet. I can't tell you exactly how that's going to play out. I just know that activating fixed signs, and these particular ones, can bring a manifestation or an uprising or a little earthquake, literally, or a breakthrough in your consciousness is the best one of all. That's the best one of all. Uranus can make you feel rebellious but liberate you. You might overcome constraints of authority and feel very detached and free. That's a positive way, instead of getting into fights, which is the lower aspect of it all. But that's certainly going to happen. Now, what else do we have going on here? We have to talk about Venus and Mars, which are both in Virgo now. And again, for Eastern time zone, they fall in the 12th house. Now, when you've got Venus and Mars in Virgo, no matter how much uprising and partying is going on, there's somebody behind the scenes going, you said 6, not 7. No, those details aren't right. No, I want to make things clear and organized and clean, and things are going to be analyzed and efficient. So sort of this behind the scenes feeling of like a little analyst or accountant going on. A little check. Now, Venus and Mars and Virgo, if you tap into that energy of this new moon, you could be supremely efficient at getting a lot of stuff done if you want to. If you want to be that introvert who says, everyone else can party, everyone else can protest in the streets, I'm staying home. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to plan this. I'm going to make sure, my pantry is full. I'm going to go over my taxes for next year. I don't care. You're like, Venus and Mars and Virgo is very diligent, detailed, precise, and doesn't mind being alone, has plenty to do. So that's an interesting spin on this new moon. You can choose to use it that way. Now, just beware that Mars is also opposing Jupiter. So, and Jupiter is also opposing Mercury. So it's sitting down there right at the end of Aquarius, and it's going to pull you away from that detailed mind unless you're very diligent. It's possible. There's so much going on around you, you might find that you really need to isolate yourself even more than usual if you want to get that Virgo energy going. Now, the other interesting thing is Venus is opposing Neptune, which can bring disappointments and a sense of like illusion, disillusionment. Venus in Virgo is seeing through all of the flaws of Neptune and Pisces, which wants to believe that everybody's good and things are going to work out just fine. And people are basically well-intentioned and, there's beauty and wonderful things in the world. And Venus in Virgo is like, I don't think so. This is no. They analyze things. And so right now, because Mars and Venus are in Virgo, if you're focusing on that side of the new moon, even with the Neptune opposition, I would say it's a good time to see through things. It's quite a good time. If you're pulling back emotionally from the wave that you feel and you're analyzing and you're studying things a bit, you're probably going to be able to see through a lot of situations or people or spin or whatever's going on at this time, which is sort of a good thing. And Venus is trine or making a good aspect to Pluto and to Uranus. So this is actually the thing to focus on the most. This is the most positive energy of the whole chart. Mars is also making a good aspect to Uranus. So remember I mentioned that the good side of Uranus is a breakthrough. It's busting free of constraints. And maybe you're doing something a bit individualistic or eccentric to get there, but you are breaking the rules in a good way. This is the most supported aspect in this chart of the new moon. So Pluto in Capricorn, that's authority. Obut, that's authority. But it's also consolidating power and control. Very ambitious, very hardworking. It's making a trine to Venus in Virgo, so it's got its little accountant, little analyst, making sure everybody is pure intentions, seeing through every little detail. And then it's making these trines to Uranus, which means could be some breakthrough moments. If you're willing to step back and really take a look, I'm not talking psychoanalyze, but just notice the details. Venus and Mars in Virgo love the details, the nitty-gritty, the granular, and they'll go into the details. And as the saying goes, the devil's in the details. So if you want to make sure Neptune and Pisces isn't pulling the wool over your eyes, or, Pluto and Capricorn or Saturn and Aquarius aren't sort of just like overwhelming you with what they want you to do in the big picture of things, whoever they is, but you focus on the tiny stuff and you can often spot the loophole or the little, and then you get a little bit of detachment and then you are liberating yourself. So it's a very interesting chart. The nodes are still where they were before. We have the north node in Gemini. So again, we're going towards a more dualistic and diverse type of world. This is the pole. Gemini is part of their communities. It's versatile. It goes around adapting to whoever and whatever's there. It keeps current and abreast of what's going on around them. And the south node is in Sag, which is much more like singular, and this is the truth, this is the way, the one true way. We're moving away. Things are becoming more airy, more non-defined, less linear, less them and us. It may be hard to see that because so many things right now seem to be lining up, or even conspiracies making it so that there's some sort of one centralized overlord type power. But actually what's going on planetarily is Aquarius, the age of Aquarius, is actually more about reinventing a world that is more inclusive and accepting and diverse and not so centralized. And the North Node in Gemini to me is also that doesn't speak about centralizing. Just saying. So we're in a weird time of a lot of opposing forces, and we have a heightened ego. We have a heightened need to express ourselves and let loose right now. Thank goodness, in a way, it's in Leo. It can be more fun. It can be fun. It can be joyful. It can be playful. That would be a great way to use that new moon as well. So I'm going to switch now and look at our cards. Oh, it's gotten quite dark in the room. Sorry, everybody. It's gotten dark since I started to do the video. Huh. Oh, well. All right, let's just do the cards now for... There's such a stillness. I don't know if you guys have felt that where you are, but there's been many days where it feels almost eerie and still outside the energy. All I hear is crickets. And sometimes the vibe outside feels like the beginning of a Stephen King novel. Yeah. All right, we're going to take a look. What do the cards add to this new moon reading? All right. Our first card is the Hierophant. So this can be, the light. This card can be a teacher. This card can be a spiritual advisor. It can signify that it's a time to pull back and meditate, study, research, and read up. Speak to somebody that you trust, an advisor or mentor. Could be anybody that you feel has the wisdom to help you. You're looking at someone who's said to be an enlightened being with the Hierophant, a conduit between the divine and the human. You can find that if you find a living person who embodies that, maybe you need to speak to somebody right now. Otherwise, you can definitely find it in literature or books, philosophers, spiritual stuff. You might be looking for that right now. The next card is the Wheel of Fortune. This is very nice. But Wheel of Fortune doesn't mean anything until we pull the next card, because it just says the Wheel of Fortune is spinning and we don't know which way, whether we're going up or down on the wheel. So the third card tells us, and it's the King of Cups, so that would be much more like an up. It's interesting. It's sort of like fate bringing somebody onto your path. The King of Cups is a nice guy to have on your path. He's helpful. He's caring. He's like a water sign who is mature. So he could very well be that mentor or advisor. Sometimes this could be a woman, of course, still, but it is a knight or a king. So, but sometimes that's embodied in a woman. But she's going to be a powerful woman. Powerful, but also very compassionate, sensitive as well. Listens to you. So you're looking for a good listener. Maybe some of you are looking for a good therapist right now. Or you need to have a good one-to-one with your mom or your dad, a grandfather, an aunt, an uncle, somebody that, again, you're seeking some comfort or wisdom or guidance. Look at this. Wow. Ace of Cups. So there's love in the air. You know, whether that King of Cups could be a new love for some people, a partner. But if it still applies to the first thing I'm saying, and it's an advisor or mentor, someone to speak with, you're looking for somebody who's definitely heart-centered and heart-connected. You're not, not somebody who's too cold or rational or analytical. And it does sort of feel to me more like you want to speak to somebody that you know and someone that you have a heart connection to. Someone who cares how you feel. Then we have the Chariot. So Chariot is, you might feel like you've got a dilemma. You're torn between two things, two people, two choices, two paths, two places to live. I don't know. There's usually a need to figure out how do you consolidate and bring these forces together. So if it's two people that you're torn with, it's not about which one do I choose. It's about how do I get everybody on board with each other. If it's about, where do I live? I've got two options. It's sort of less about either or, and maybe how could you marry the two or do both? Oh, the next card, that's pretty nice. The Four of Swords says truce. Usually it's a Libra card, so it's a lot of talking. Like imagine all those lines are conversations or lines of communication. It would be blah, 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 blah. Lots of talking, lots of networking, lots of socializing. So that would be your answer when it comes to consolidating or deciding, is you need to talk it out. You need to consult and get advice, maybe from multiple sources, or do your research, or you need to have multiple talks with many people involved, or a mediator involved in some cases, so that it's definitely a card of talking it through. All right, so next card is the Eight of Wands. Now, Eight of Wands usually represents traveling and being free, and sometimes taking, trips or a flight, wanting to be spontaneous and adventurous. It's a joyful card, so I have to see what's next to it, but this might indicate that there's some, travel will open up. I mean, again, it's going to come with these vaccine passports now, but maybe if people adopt them and accept them, maybe it will allow more people to travel than have been previously, which would stimulate economies again. We'll see. We have the Six of Discs, which says success on the card. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there we go. This is a Taurus card, Moon in Taurus. Moon in Taurus? Let me check. Yeah, Moon in Taurus. This is somebody, Moon in Taurus has all of their dental plans in order. They've got all of their insurance policies done. They've thought about their financial and physical security, and they're well set up. And they have sometimes difficulty valuing themselves, trusting themselves. There can be some self-esteem issues or putting up with crap for too long. But overall, this is a success card. So you might see, you've got traveling, you've got negotiations, you've got traveling, and you've got success. Feels to me like things continue to open up. And then we end off with this Prince of Swords, who is usually sort of scattered and complicated and tortured and tormented inside. So, having trouble figuring out how to sum this up. I'm going to pull one more card to help us. So, we have the Six of Cups with the Prince of Swords here. Six Cups is nice too and can often represent traveling, but more like by sea, by water. And that the emotions, it says pleasure right on the card. It's sexuality, it's sensual, it's things feel like they're opening up quite a bit. And then you've got this Prince of Swords here. I mean, it doesn't feel like he's terribly consequential. I would say if the Chariot card speaks to you, or the reason that you need to see a spiritual advisor or therapist is related to this Prince of Swords guy, who's, like I said, scattered and maybe clever, but inconsistent, can't commit, can't tell the truth. He might seem like a big deal, but he's actually less consequential. You can easily move on from this person's influence. So if they are a factor in your decision making, I wouldn't worry about them too much. I see just so much movement and support in these cards that I feel it's a good time to tell you to go for it with whatever plans you have. All right, so we're going to try to define a good new moon question for each sign. And I'm going to say, because it's the Lion's Gate, let's just see what's the best way for you to use this heightened energy. What's the best way for you to manifest something right now? And when I say manifest, I'm not talking hocus pocus, like I'm thinking of a red car and one drives up to my driveway and says, here you go, or something, where it's bypassing all kinds of effort or work. When I say manifesting, it's for me, I mean, everyone has their, for me, manifesting works when you are very clear on something you want and it feels really exciting and real to you. And you get a lift when you think about wanting it. And you're not really starting to plan it or break your head. You're not researching it. You're not worried about it. That's when things tend to manifest or happen without us working so hard for it. And it's partly that you have such clarity and trust that you start to carve a pathway towards it. But also a lot of it is that you're so clear and unblocked by, your own head, usually your own fears, that you can also recognize when there's synchronicities, or when there's help, or when there's signs, or when there's, oh, this is what I said I wanted, but it's coming in a slightly different way than I thought, but that's still it. So it's getting closer to me. So I'll keep doing what I'm doing. So this is what I'm talking about, getting into that kind of zone. So let's take a look for each sign. What can you do to get into that right zone of manifesting what you want? Now, Aries. All right. Aries, your card is the Queen of Swords for that. So how do you manifest right now or get into that zone? Well, the Queen of Swords is someone who needs to just be very blunt. She's got her sword. She's chopped off the head. She's sitting there on the clouds with her crown, and there's nothing you can do that will make her care or give to about anything that if she doesn't want to. So I don't usually give this message, but I'll just say that there's probably a reason for Aries this is coming up right now. If you want to get closer to manifesting what you want, you have to get into this Queen of Swords, give no fucks, excuse my language, mindset. You're going to have to cut something loose. You're going to have to say, this doesn't work. You're going to have to get, as a friend of mine used to say with gardening, when I wanted to save every plant, she looked at me one day and she said, sometimes you have to be ruthless. Which means sometimes you have to say, oh, this plant is weak and it's weakening the rest of my garden. So instead of spending all my time saving a weak plant, rip it out and let the others be strong. We don't usually like to talk like this, but it does have its place in life sometimes. So I'm going to say for you, Aries, if you want to succeed right now, You have to have a little bit of that ruthlessness in you. All right, let's take a look now for Taurus. Taurus, you have sort of an opposite message. For you to manifest what you want, you've got the lust card, passion. But also, like, she has full trust. She's lying down backwards, you know? She's just lying down, letting her hair flow on this lion. She's reaching up, grasping that nectar. She's not worried whether the lion's going to take off or harm her or turn around or do anything. She's just like, I am loving this and I am trusting this. And the goods are mine, you know? I'm going to take the sweetness from the universe that I want. So I would say for you, Taurus, to manifest what you want, there needs to be a higher degree of passion and trusting instead of worrying. Yeah. And then you're going to be able to tap into something that's going to make it all happen for you quicker. All right, let's do Gemini now. Gemini, what do you need to do to manifest? Well, you've got the 7 of discs. Well, this actually, to me, is sort of more of a warning that you need to, usually this is a card where your money's a bit tight, or a card where you're not trusting, having difficulty trusting people. Sometimes the card, it says failure. Sometimes people feel like a failure with this card. That would be one thing I'd ask myself. If you feel like you're constantly not getting to where you need to be, are you crapping on yourself too much? Do you feel like you failed? Are you really hard on yourself? You can also ask yourself if you're being good with your finances right now and be honest about that. And sort of clean up your mindset about yourself, clean up your finances. That's where you're going, because otherwise it feels like Gemini is usually pretty good at manifesting what they want. When they, as they say, when you get out of your own way, Gemini can be just amazing at that. Because they're used to handling multiple influences and multitasking so well when they're on. So they know how to allow a lot of change and a lot of things to flow, and they know how to pick up on little signs. So the only thing that could get in your way is if you've overdone it with your finances in some way and you've put yourself in a sticky spot, that's getting in your way of manifesting. Or if you are on the other side being too hard on yourself, then you need to work on that side of things for it to flow. All right, Cancers, let's see for you. Cancer, well, what you need in order to manifest here, you've got the Empress, which is interesting because Cancer is very similar to the Empress, being like a mother goddess, a nurturer. So basically what you need in order to bring out the best of your future goals is you need to nurture yourself. You need to nurture yourself, mother yourself. You know, you need to give yourself that love, compassion, space, time. It's okay. It's fine. Good for you. No, you did really well. It didn't happen so fast. Doesn't matter. You know, be that good mom to yourself. Be the mom that you wish you had if you didn't have one. If you're missing your mom and she was like this, bring her to mind over and over. As you're thinking about what you would like to manifest in your life, talk to yourself like a good mom and coach yourself through it. And if you have a mom around or someone who's like that for you, then let yourself lean on that person too. But you mainly, I feel, a need to do it for yourself. That's a nice little message. All right, so Leos, let's see for you. Aha. 10 of discs. Show me the money. How do you manifest, Leo? Well, you need some moolah. You need some capital. You need some investment. You need to unlock some funds. Or you might need to be applying for funds or loans, bursaries, contests, because the 10 of coins is a chunk of change that comes all at once. So for you to manifest the thing you've got in your mind, you need some money. You need some actual money and resources. So figure out how to get it and do it. Pretty literal this time for Leos. All right, Virgos. And I bring back the success card for you. So how does Virgo manifest? Well, the moon in Taurus, again, like I said, thinking of your financial security, your emotional well-being and security. Do you need to take out insurance policies to make you feel safer, more secure? Do you need to evaluate your inner circle, make sure you feel very safe and secure and supported? Again, this card sort of speaks about healing for me all the time. I say that because it's a little hard to see it. Can you see it? There's a cross and a rose in the center, and it's surrounded by a ring of light. And then you get all of these rings around it, these spheres, planets around it. So the central core of the card is a rose, which to me feels like a flower or your heart. And then there's a cross, and it sort of feels to me like a sacred space, And then you have light around it, and I get always this feeling with this card of like protecting yourself and taking care of yourself very well. So on a physical level, on a financial level, but you can't take good care of yourself on any level if you're not well surrounded in good environments with good people as well. So maybe this is what you're trying to manifest, is a state of feeling surrounded, well protected, well grounded, and healthy. So this is what you're focusing on. And because it's a Taurus card, it focuses on the practical side. It's not manifesting as in, oh, I'm praying for good health. It's actually, buying the kale. It's different. It's practical. All right, Libra. How do you manifest what you want? Well, very clear message to me. The universe means in order for you to manifest what you want, you're going to have to accept that a chapter has ended, or is ending, or is in progress of ending. Does this make sense for you? Are you finally ready? Because Libra hangs on to situations way past the shelf life of when they first sensed or felt dissatisfied, because they're worried that they haven't tried hard enough, or they're not being fair, or they're making, oh, well, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Oh, well, it's hard because they blah, blah, fill in the blanks. So therefore I should stick around. And they're you're constantly weighing things. Libra, you've weighed everything as much as you can. I don't care what this is. Maybe there's a person that you've always feel unclear about. Decide. This is who they are. This is my best interpretation based on my experience with them. Done. Decide. That's what Libra is about, by the way. The sign of Libra needs to come to a decision that has been weighed and been fair. Now, if you've weighed things enough, it's time to decide. The universe is the ending. It's the end of a chapter. So for you to manifest something new, you need to end a chapter or let go of something. Scorpios. How do you manifest? This is the brilliant for manifesting. This is the art card or the temperance card. I love this as an answer. So Scorpio, how do you manifest what you want? Well, this is the witch. This is the alchemist. This is the card of a recipe. There's a recipe for what you want to happen, and you need to figure out the recipe and start to bake or cook or mix the potion. So there's a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And if we wait and we mix this with that, then it'll have this effect. And if we add this other thing in, then it starts to transform. And it's all going to be a big mixture of many steps and many people and many things. And if you can just enjoy the playfulness of mixing things around, but think of it more, like I said, as a recipe. It's alchemy, this card. That's how you're going to get what you want. So it's not going to be a straight line or a clear thing. It's going to be understanding that when the timing is right, it'll happen. And you're going to mix and experiment until then. And it's going to eventually it's going to grow into something that you have been wanting and have a life of its own. So I think this is an exciting time for you. All right, Sagittarius. Sorry for the delay. I have to write down what time the readings are at. All right, Sag, how do you manifest what you want? Queen of Cups. It's similar to the Empress answer. Mothering yourself, being calmer, taking some time out, time alone, time to think, spend some time by the water, look at the reflections that are coming, look at the mirrors that are coming. Try to keep your head clear, because as you can see, her head is in the fog. Dealing with your emotions is a huge theme of this one. So how do you get what you want is sort of cooling things down a little. Sometimes ironically, or maybe not ironically, but if you think about, we celebrate, the masculine energy in our society. So trying harder, going out there, being extroverted, doing more, initiating, pioneering, being courageous and bold, expressing more. And that does work. We need that. But some people, or sometimes, and you're a fire sign, sometimes things start to backfire when you do that too much, because there's too much masculine. It's too harsh. And it starts to be sort of like a forest fire at that point. It just burns everything in its path. So for now, I would say to examine the goals that you have and ask yourself, is it time to pull back and cool things down a little? That could mean, stepping down from being the initiator, let some other people lead. That could mean taking a hiatus and just letting yourself ponder and not have to drive it forward. And it means also just dealing with whatever emotions are coming up for you, so that you make sure that you're not suppressing them and shoving them into the next thing and the next thing. That's an interesting message. Capricorn. How do you get what you want? You've got the Queen of Discs, very Capricorn type card. Look at those antlers or horns on her. She is an earth sign. She does have her land and her wealth. She's looking out over it. She's got her ram, who's sort of like her guard dog. And she's holding the world in her arm here. So this is sort of like, how do you get what you want is, well, you're protective and consolidating and holding on to what you already have. Seems to me it's a message about gratitude and settling in and accepting what you already have. Because she's sort of sitting there very restful, right? She's not up working busy. And this ram at the bottom is sort of like, yeah, what do you want? Why are you bothering my queen here? Is this really important? So you might need, maybe the answer is that you need somebody like this ram. You need somebody to sort of protect you and buffer for you. Maybe you need a little rest. But I mainly am hearing that you need a bit of gratitude and calm for what you've already achieved. Because whatever you want next, I'm sure you've already thought of and thinking of for years. So it's not really about you manifesting something new you haven't thought of, because most Capricorns I know have thought it through plenty. It's more about how are you doing with the progress and the pace of what you're already manifesting. And it looks like it's a time to just allow yourself to enjoy a bit of the summer, enjoy where you're at, and not push so hard for now, and not let people bug you if they are. You need some more space. Things can resume on your big plans probably more in the fall. All right. Aquarius, how do you manifest? Oof. Oh my. Well, don't pick the death card too often in these group readings. So don't be scared. Don't be scared. Aquarius, how do you manifest? Well, the death card means something is about to be taken out. There's a bit of a shock or a surprise coming. The death card always brings something better in its place, something better than you expected. So whatever you've got in your head as your plan, something is about to go, no. And they're going to put something else or someone else or a new job or a different house than you thought, or whatever it is you've got in your head. They're going to reroute you. The death cards sort of comes in and goes, whoosh. It's not what you thought. Here you go. This is better. That's what the death card does, and it does it in a quick time frame. So when the crap hits the fan, whatever you are shocked by, whatever you're like, oh my God, I thought, just know that this happens quickly. The turnaround, the replacement, the better offer, it happens fast. So be prepared. Don't get too depressed. Just go, okay, I'm in shock now. I have no idea what to do next. And just be open to the better solution that's coming. So there is no such thing as you manifesting it right now. Life is going to manifest it for you. Wow, what a message for Aquarians. Oh my goodness. Okay. And Pisces, last but not least. Your card is the Hermit. How do you manifest? Well, this can't be more clear. You need time alone. The Hermit needs time, a cocoon. The Hermit needs a sacred space, quiet, non-interference, a studio to create in, a room to lock yourself in once in a while, a book to lose yourself in, nobody bothering you on the phone or knocking on your door. The Hermit needs to go within to find the light. So for you, Pisces, to figure out what you want to manifest next, because I'm getting a feeling you're not sure what you want to manifest. And if you do know, it looks like you still need a period of time to mull this over and This is a very strong message for me of using the feminine principle for manifesting, which means you're not going to be going out there trying hard, pushing, driving a project. This is the complete opposite. The hermit is powerful enough in his meditation and solitude to draw what he wants to him with the mind. This is more the truest manifestation energy, the way we know it and hear about it online. Meditate, Pisces. Meditate, visualize what you want. Don't do a thing. Call it to you. Call it to you. What a nice way to leave everything. All right, I want to just do a bit of sage for everybody. If you've been here this whole reading, I'm doing it for myself, but I'm going to do it on behalf of everyone. Actually, I've got a few things in here. I have cedar, and I have juniper, and I have Palo Santo. And I just think we all need a good cleansing right now. So try to use this heightened energy with good intentions, manifesting your goals, sending out good prayers and intentions to everyone. Try to avoid the dramas and the conflicts. All right. And if you'd like to see me for anything private or personal, please reach out. YouTube comments, like, share, follow. Reach out to me at my website, riverrain.com. All right. Happy new moon.